at a handful of basic spider guard sweeps and options off of it. It does get a little bit beyond basics, but nothing too hard, especially for our smaller guys that like to invert around and stuff, okay? But anybody should be able to pull off all of this stuff. So first I want to talk about switching sides, or really just controlling spider guard. So I see a lot of people in the beginning, they have this bad habit of dragging their hips like this. And a way I like to explain that is if I extend my short leg, right, it will definitely turn me over, right? But that's not all I need to do, right? I need to raise my hips up. So before I extend the short leg to turn myself, right, I'll first have to bite down, so I bite down on my extended leg, right? So I use my extended leg to lift my hips, right? So in this case, it's my right leg, lifts my hips for me. Now I can extend my left leg to turn my hips over, right? So it's a weird pedaling motion. So on this side, my left leg raises my hips, and then I extend my right leg to turn, right? So that's how I get my hips high when I'm using my spider guard, which is important for pretty much everything we do from here, okay? Having active hips. So one of the first things I'm gonna look at is I've swapped sides a few times, and I've decided that I'm ready to go about a sweep. So I'm gonna let this hook slide off of his bicep, and I'm going to kick and pull at simultaneously to break his grip here. So because he's more than likely controlling my pants. So I break his grip. Now I'm gonna find his hip as I bite down with that right leg again to turn my hips over. I extend this overhead, not to the side, but overhead. So my goal here is to shift first all of his weight forward onto his knees and off to the side a bit so that he's favoring his weight on this knee, right? Now, if I do this fast, especially against someone similar in size, I can just sweep off to the side. But notice Daniel right here has kind of a wide base, or if the guy's very tall, I tend to just go straight to pushing the knee out here, right? From this position, guys, what I'm looking at doing is scooping underneath the arm below the elbow. So if I'm here, he's just gonna pull his elbow into me. So I like to scoop here, so now if he tries to do that, it's hard for him. I slide, or I like to say cram, I cram my knee through this space. Now I like to keep this foot on the bicep until towards the end. Now if I wanted to, like if Daniel's trying to beat me to the punch here and he starts to posture on me, right, I can jump this over right into a triangle choke, okay? Ideally, right, I'm coming through, sitting by, and then I throw this leg over, right? But the reason I like to keep this on the bicep instead of letting it fold over is it's rare that the guy, after this sweep is pulled off, will allow me to come up into mount. He's gonna start turning in and, well, probably shooting his knees in and getting some type of like, he'll start trying to pull his knees in. As you start going against better and better guys, right, it'll be harder and harder to pull off just the mount. So I usually try to attack this arm here, right? So I'll keep this foot on the bicep, cram that knee under. If he starts trying to beat me to the punch by posturing up, there's a nice slick triangle that I can always turn back into an arm bar. Or if I just get the drop on him, I can just slide this through and whip this over, okay? So let's look at that one more time. So I switch sides, kick by, square up. I need to load him overhead, trying to get his weight onto this knee, okay? Now, if he's not too wide, I can just pop him over like this, as long as I have the momentum. But typically, I like to kick that leg out, especially with my taller guys or bigger guys, okay? So now that I'm here, I scoop underneath his elbow, right? Closer to his shoulder than his elbow. I'm not above his elbow, okay? Now I cram this underneath. If he tries to sit up into me, easy triangle. If he doesn't, cool, even easier arm bar, okay? All right, so having done that one, if I pop this grip and start to come over and start to attempt the sweep, the guy steps over me, right? So he's caught himself, right? He stopped the sweep by stepping up. What I'm gonna do is use this top hook, right? And maybe even a little bit of a floor grab with my foot here. It might be unnecessary, but if some of my heavier guys may need to grab the floor with this leg, to scoot themselves in a bit, right? Me, I'm just gonna slide this into here. So I've kind of hopped my hips over as I bit down here to get myself into this position, okay? So I'm just looking at elevating him at the knee and biting down heavily with this, right? It's all in this, really. This is just lead. If I just try to lift his leg here, nah, no way, I'm not strong enough, right? So I need to really drive his weight down on this limb over here, okay, to pop him over. Now, a lot of people teach this of just trying to come up into mount, or maybe even catching a triangle here, and that's fine, like that's absolutely fine, but I've learned that typically the guy is gonna scramble on me there, right? So I've popped this grip, I've switched over, he stepped over on me, right? I square up, elevate him over. My issue here is the guy's often gonna take my leg, right? And then it's gonna start in this, and we're gonna be in a scramble here, right? And we're right back where we started, or maybe we've both come up to like a wrestling position, okay? So, pop the grip, he hops over on me, right? I hit the sweep, I immediately start to invert over, coming around for an armbar attack. And again, you might end up in a scramble anyways, okay? And we're here. So let's look at that again. My foot actually came off of his bicep. I try not to let that happen, but sometimes you can't help it. So pop, switch, he steps over on me, get my sweep, start to come over, right? And we have access to that arm bar. Okay. One more time. So, pop his grip, switch over, he stops the sweep. Here, I try to keep pressure on this sleeve if possible. It makes it hard for him to build up, and it gives me more options at the end when he starts scrambling, right? So now I could, if I wanted to or needed to, it starts turning into me hard, right? I have that triangle like before, right? Where I can just stick with the arm bar. So sometimes we go for that second sweep and the guy doesn't let us do it. So oftentimes when you're dealing with guys of higher level, that they're gonna try to pass spider guard standing anyways. However, it's important that we know how to deal with a kneeling opponent here. So I pop this first grip. I start to set up my first sweep option. He steps over as a defense. I set up my second sweep option. He stands. Now I have to do something different, right? So there's a ton of stuff that I can do here. So much stuff that we have here. But what we're going to look at today is I'm going to go to single X guard. So I'm going to extend this hook down here as I turn and pull myself in to his hip here. This foot finds his hip. Now I pull, and I should be doing this at the same time. I know I'm speaking about it as if it were a step, right? But this should all be happening simultaneously. I would have been pulling my knee in and kicking to break. Now, instead of just trying to pull this where it goes, right, through this path, like would seem intuitive, if he tries to square up to me, right, it'll get snagged in this position, right? And this can be bad for me. So come back. So after I pop this grip, I windshield it in low, right? So as to hopefully, if he squares up, go ahead. So as to hopefully clear that space and not get caught up, right? So if he squares up to me here, I can always push him back and then still hit my sweep, okay? So the idea is after I pop this grip and jump this in, I'm actively biting with this hook, right? Right underneath his butt cheek, pinching my knees and trying to lift his heel off of the mat, right? I don't care if his foot actually comes off the mat. What I'm trying to do is make his back leg heavy. See how he's forced to hop when I do that, right? So when I do this live, I quickly lift, pinch my knees, and torque my hips to the outside, okay? Now, there's the obvious straight ankle attacks that we can start sending right here, but what I like to tell most of my beginners is to just stand in base in this position, right? Because now we have a lot of opportunities for different sweeps. I can start trying to knee cut. He may try to throw the leg over, which gives us opportunity for stack passing. So we have a lot of stuff that we can do from that position. So let's look at that again, right? So I pop the grip. I try our first sweep. He's not letting it happen. So I switch, right? He steps up. He's not letting that happen. I come through, right? Pop this, come through, hit here, okay? Now I'm just standing in base, ready to attack his guard. Bear start passing. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and share and subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to leave some comments for me if you want me to cover anything else specific. Anything that has a lot of attention in it, I'll try to cover as soon as I can. If I know about it, if it's something I'm not super familiar with, I might just skip over it. Sorry guys, I don't teach stuff that I'm not good at myself, okay?